Hey guys, Zen here, and welcome back. So what in the world is this video? Rainbow Six Siege has been instrumental in what we do here, and bringing you guys the latest is something I've always enjoyed. But throughout the years, I've also made sure to sprinkle in news and discussion from around the industry as well, and so I figured why not make a video talking about some of gaming's biggest news. So for this video, I've compiled the major headlines that I found interesting, and hopefully you find interest in them as well. If you do, maybe we'll do it more often. If it sucks, you guys can let me know. But for now, let's get into the news. This is your games update. So first up, Ubisoft is back in the spotlight, but this time as the catalyst to a major Game of the Year contender. So the director of Clair Obscura Expedition 33 actually said that the whole reason this game came to be was because he was bored working at Ubisoft, and the rest of the origin story to how this game materialized is actually fascinating. A game that has now sold over 1 million copies with plans to launch a live-action movie for the title started with the game director working at Ubisoft and being bored on the job. And getting this team together was nuts. The lead writer for the game actually never did any voice acting in games, but on a whim just decided to send in an audition and somehow became the lead writer. Laurent Testard, the composer for the game, was like any other one of us and leaving comments on social media, SoundCloud of all platforms, and got in touch with the game director and ended up composing the incredible soundtrack for the game. So who knows? It could be one of you leave a comment on a video or show your expertise somewhere online and get to work on a future Game of the Year. The rest of the 30 or so devs were mostly recruited through Reddit posts by the director looking to find talent during the pandemic. So boredom, Reddit, SoundCloud, and even praise from the president of France for creating one of the best rated games in history, all because someone had an ambitious plan and was bored at Ubisoft. Now then, moving on to games coming in 2026. And what do you know? Rockstar Games has announced that GTA 6 will be delayed until May 26, 2026. That's a lot of sixes. But they didn't leave us completely dry. They actually just released the official GTA 6 trailer 2, showing us more of the incredible world and what some of the characters will be getting into. So it starts off with Jason heading over to the jail to pick up Lucia on the day of her release. And they waste no time getting reacquainted. And once reunited, I think the biggest takeaway from this showing is that Jason and Lucia are a modern day Bonnie and Clyde. Almost everything here in the trailer shows both of them involved, and throughout it, they always seem to have each other's back. But this is definitely a GTA. I mean, heist, the over-the-top personalities, lots of different vehicles, from helicopters to motorcycles, boats, and planes. It's all here, and everyone is here for it, including YouTube themselves, in a comment with, "Had some time to think about it, and can confirm, we're so ready." Now, as for the delay, here's exactly what they said. Grand Theft Auto 6 is now set to release on May 26, 2026. We're very sorry that this is later than you expected. The interest and excitement surrounding a new Grand Theft Auto has been truly humbling for our entire team. We want to thank you for your support and your patience as we work to finish the game. With every game we've released, the goal has always been to try and exceed your expectations, and Grand Theft Auto 6 is no exception. We hope you understand that we need this extra time to deliver at the level of quality you expect and deserve. Now, shortly after the announcement, Take-Two, the publisher behind GTA, saw their stock drop by as much as 16%. And when you see a dip like that, people want answers. And so the CEO of Take-Two came out and acknowledged that as much as they take moving their game schedule around serious, they have a commitment to excellence. And so they're in support of Rockstar's decision to ultimately push the game back a year. We support fully Rockstar Games taking additional time to realize their creative vision for Grand Theft Auto 6, which promises to be a groundbreaking blockbuster entertainment experience that exceeds audience expectations. And man, is that a bold statement, because this audience is expecting the most revolutionary game, potentially of all time, to release next May. But hey, look, even though the delay is significant, there are two big takeaways to draw from this. For one, a longer delay like this means the game will only be better for it. And so as high as anticipation is for this title, this push will only help deliver on its potential. And secondly, there's an actual release date, not just a year or a launch window, but we know definitively that Grand Theft Auto 6 will launch on May 26, 2026. And so cheers to that. Apparently, Rockstar is wanting to avoid crunch time, the period right before launch where developers are notoriously putting in overtime and the studio is pushed to its limits to get the game out, and they knew this delay was coming as of a few months ago. And last to note, still no word on a PC release date. Does that come day and date? Is that another 6 to 12 months beyond launch? Time will tell. But guys, this is literally best case scenario. Yes, Rockstar have delayed the game, and yes, it is unfortunately for a full year, but in response, we got this truly amazing trailer. I mean, make sure to watch watch it in all its glory, but GTA 6 is looking absolutely worth the hype and the wait. And that brings us to $100 games. Guys, no matter what sector of gaming you enjoy, this is becoming a major point of controversy within the industry, and it's because we've just heard about yet another console maker increasing the price of their games and, well, just about everything else they make. Microsoft and Xbox have announced that they'll be increasing the prices of just about everything with an Xbox logo on it, and have also confirmed that new games are set to launch at an $80 price point. As of May 1st, we have adjusted recommended retailer pricing for our consoles and controllers worldwide. We also expect to adjust the pricing of some of our first-party games, starting this holiday season, to $79.99. Those titles purchased on the Xbox Store have the benefit of Xbox Play Anywhere, allowing players to buy once and play on console and PC at no additional cost. Now, they go on to say that they understand these changes are, quote, challenging, and that the increases are a result of market conditions and the increased cost of development. And yeah, it isn't just their new games, it's also the price of some of their accessories, as well as every single Xbox console currently on the market. Check this out. These are the updated prices on Xbox hardware, with the Xbox Series S getting an $80 increase from $299 to $379, and the more powerful Xbox Series X getting a $100 price jump to $600 from the original $500. And in case you were curious, this stuff is live right now. Like, as of May 1st, if you head into a retailer and want an Xbox, you're simply paying more now than you did last week. Of course, Microsoft has given their own reasons for why these increases have happened, and for sure, game development cost has only gotten more expensive, but they also recently published their earnings report, and we learned that Xbox numbers are looking quite good, although hardware sales seem to be trending downward. So overall, Microsoft reports that gaming revenue is up by 5%, and that Xbox content and revenue services increased by roughly 8%, which has been led by Game Pass, Minecraft, and Call of Duty. But as for hardware, well, they've seen a drop of about 6% across consoles and accessories, which, after all is said and done, is probably at least one of the reasons for the increase of these prices, alongside the ongoing battle with tariffs. Now, this price increase has also affected PC players trying to upgrade certain components. For instance, the already astronomical price for the ROG Astral 5090 graphics card, which launched at around $2,800, actually broke the $3,000 mark, now being sold for an eye-watering $3,400 for just that single GPU. And so, $100 games. As an industry, are we truly prepared to be paying that much for the base version of a game? Next May, we'll see the release of the behemoth that is Grand Theft Auto 6, and industry insiders have speculated if the game will launch at a $100 price point. Now, Nintendo got flack when they announced that Mario Kart World would launch for $80, and now that Microsoft has thrown their hat in the pit and is matching that price, Take-Two, the publisher behind GTA 6, will most certainly launch the game at $80 minimum. And if this trend continues upwards, these insiders might be right. We might just see our first $100 base game here. I think the best part of this for Take-Two is the fact that they don't have to eat the first blow here. You almost have to tip your hat to Nintendo for having the gonads to be the first ones to up their price. And now that Microsoft is doing the same, Take-Two is in the clear to charge at least $80 for their game. And so guys, this really isn't just a one-off story. This is an ongoing, developing discussion throughout the industry, and I'd imagine we'll be hearing from Sony and PlayStation very soon, at least about US pricing. And so if you're interested in that update, I'll make sure you find out about it here. On the topic of Sony and, well, Xbox, Gears of War Reloaded was just announced, and it's happened. It's now the second star child from Xbox first party to make its way over to another platform, with the first ever Gears of War release on PlayStation. Alongside Xbox and PC, Gears of War Reloaded is launching day and date on PS5. As we approach the 20th anniversary of Gears of War in 2026, we're reflecting on what this franchise means. It's about the stories we've told, the friendships we've built, and the unforgettable moments we've shared together. With Gears of War Reloaded, we're opening the door to more players than ever. So guys, Gears of War Reloaded is a remaster of the original Gears of War, which launched back in 2006. So we're looking at a 4K enhanced version of the game, all of the post-launch content, full crossplay and cross-progression, and they're even touting 0 load screens during the campaign. Now, what they're saying is that a Microsoft account isn't required. However, having one unlocks full cross-platform functionality, as well as full cross-progression between devices. So yes, it's not technically required, but they're kind of saying it without saying it, that you should use one to get the full effect. As a nice bonus, if you already own the original Gears Ultimate Edition on Xbox, this is free. Gears Reloaded is a free upgrade for you, so when it comes out, it'll be delivered directly through Xbox messages on your console. Now, if you do end up grabbing this on PlayStation, the kicker is this once Xbox exclusive title may actually play better on PS5, because although not mentioned in the official blog post on the PlayStation Store page for the game, it's saying it's getting full DualSense support with both haptic feedback and adaptive triggers fully supported, as well as also being PS5 PS5 Pro enhanced. So again, technically speaking, at least for consoles, the most fully featured way to experience Gears of War Reloaded is on a PS5 Pro. It's out August 26th of this year, and naturally, it's coming day one to Game Pass. And so that leaves just one more major Xbox franchise yet to launch on the PS5, and that is of course Halo. Now, there has been the rumor that at some point here, they're launching the Master Chief Collection over on PS5, and that makes sense. If you've never played Halo before, this is the perfect way to get caught up. And then shortly after to follow, opening up Halo Infinite to PS5 users as well. And so I think it's official. Xbox is now more of a publisher rather than an exclusive console maker, and this announcement only solidifies that further. They've headed deep down this road, and it seems to be working out for them. As we discussed, the Xbox games business numbers are all up, besides that of hardware. And so getting their software out there and available on any platform seems to be exactly what gamers want. But you know what else gamers want? Another Titanfall game. I think out of the entirety of EA's franchises, Titanfall is the one that has some of the most requests to come back, and unfortunately, I think that ship has sailed because EA has announced that 2 in-development projects have been canned, with one being an all-new PvP extraction shooter set in the Titanfall universe. So Bloomberg was able to secure this story, but if you've been excited to revisit Titanfall or to get involved with yet another extraction shooter, you won't be doing the two together because EA has shut down not one, but 2 new projects. The first hasn't materialized. It was an unannounced game that was supposedly a first-person Star Wars shooter that was canceled earlier this year. But the other was a PvP extraction shooter set in the Titanfall universe. Codenamed R7, apparently both games were in very early stages of development before EA ultimately decided to shut down both projects and lay off 100 developers at Respawn, and another 200 developers were let go across their studios as a result of the layoffs. Now, to be clear, neither of these games were Titanfall 3. It should be noted that technically Apex Legends is built in the world of Titanfall, but this is a story of expectations and the people hurt by them. Respawn is, by all accounts, one of the most successful developers of our time, creating the wildly popular Apex Legends and keeping that game live with new content season after season. They also developed the incredibly successful Star Wars Jedi games, and even with those accolades, you'd think that if you land a position at a studio like this, you can feel safe. Like, this is an active studio with big titles under their belt. But no, unfortunately, the dark underbelly of this industry is showing, and what it really means is that if your studio doesn't somehow meet the expectations of the large parent corporation, your job and livelihood are on the cutting block. I mean, it was also said that the designer for Sparrow, a character in Apex Legends, was let go the day after the character was revealed. Like, could you imagine putting all that work into a character, and just as the whole world gets to learn about it, you're let go? Now, I realize that layoffs happen, and this isn't an issue exclusive to game development, but it's really how prevalent it is in this industry, and that no matter how successful the studio, any one individual could be let go. But as for Titanfall, I think it's safe to assume that it's cooked. If Titanfall 3 was intended to be an extraction shooter, I could see that working. Maybe it's a situation where you extract via one of the Titans, or getting in your Titan instantly puts a target on your back to the rest of the lobby. That could be an interesting scenario. But with Marathon from Bungie on the horizon and the outlook and reception on that game not being super positive, and then Arc Riders really taking a hold of the genre, at least recently, I don't know if this canceled extraction project would have gotten off to a great start. A lot of companies are betting on extraction to be the next winning formula, and even though Escape from Tarkov has been quite successful, that's really the tip of the iceberg, and no one else has been able to crack the code to scale just yet. But it is super unfortunate that these devs, a whole 300 of them, are now back in the market looking for a job, and I don't know, it's just something has to change here. And change is on the horizon. See what I did there? As the ongoing and massively expensive feud between Epic Games and Apple has concluded, and somehow Epic came away with a major victory. And guys, this is huge. So if you didn't know, Epic has been at war with Apple over the App Store, specifically Apple charging developers a transaction fee on all purchases made through their app on the App Store. This is why sometimes app makers will force you to purchase a membership or a transaction outside of the app itself. It's because if you do make that purchase, it's just lost revenue to the company. Roughly 30% of that transaction goes into Apple's pockets, or they pass those fees over to you, and whatever you're trying to buy buy is just more expensive on Apple hardware. Epic also wanted to make it so that the App Store wasn't the only storefront on Apple devices, because as we know, Epic Games is also an online shop and wants to sell you games and subscriptions on your devices directly through them. And so they launched a massive public campaign to kind of rally the consumers and gamers behind them back in 2020. And long story short, 9 out of the 10 counts was ruled in Apple's favor. But that 10th count went in way of Epic, and the judge made it clear that Apple could no longer block app developers from sending consumers elsewhere to make a purchase, referred to as off-app purchases. And again, long story short, Apple didn't listen, at least not totally. Behind the scenes, they were charging app developers a 27% fee and limiting the ways these external purchases could be shown. So the court found them in violation, and the judge ruled that Apple will no longer be able to prevent these off-app purchases or litigate how they're displayed by the developer to the consumer. And as you can imagine, Epic Games, and more specifically their CEO, Tim Sweeney, celebrated this win on social. Game over for the Apple tax. What this means is that at some point here soon, Fortnite will make its way back to iOS, which opens up the floodgates for millions and millions of gamers to log into the game on Apple devices. And starting June of 2025, Epic is going live with an off-app web store to handle all of their in-game transactions. This is massive. This is billions of dollars Apple is missing out on, and that essentially evaporate overnight. And this isn't a ruling just in favor of Epic. This affects every and any app developer that is selling in-app purchases on iOS. They are now fully in their right to have the consumer go outside of the app, make the purchase, and receive the full amount of the transaction. And I don't know why many, if any, developers will opt out of this. Now, of course, immediately after the ruling, Apple has sent forth an appeal, and so this is a developing story, and the final nail in the coffin has not yet been struck. But one game that comes to mind for me is R6 Mobile. It's been delayed and postponed on iOS, probably largely due to these fees, and so we just might see its official launch on iOS coming here very soon. And lastly here, guys, Ubisoft is teasing another big project. In celebration for the incredible success of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, they say, "You've revived the legend, the prince is back, and believe us, he's just warming up." Now, if you didn't know, The Lost Crown didn't perform as projected, and so Ubisoft disbanded the team and closed up shop on the game. They also released another Prince of Persia game called The Rogue Prince of Persia, which was a roguelike, sort of like Hades. And so what this tweet is alluding to is still a bit of a mystery. I doubt it's a sequel to The Lost Crown, mostly because that dev team is no longer, and getting the band back together just doesn't seem realistic for a game this size. Assassin's Creed has been on pretty shaky footing recently, and even though Shadows did do well, it went through a bevy of controversy in the lead up to launch that's never really left the game. And Prince of Persia shares some similarities with Assassin's Creed, especially with parkour and some of the combat systems, and so Ubisoft could want to explore that deeper and deliver something on a much bigger scale for the IP. And this news is on top of what we've discussed in my previous video, that is Ubisoft developing a spin-off Rainbow Six title and a brand new battle royale. There's a lot of work ahead to get Ubisoft on the pedestal it once upheld, but going back to its roots and making exciting developments on some of their older franchises might be a solid move. Now, if they really want to move the needle, we need to see the next Splinter Cell. It is the most requested new entry in a franchise, maybe of all time. And if they do come to their senses and get it out, I'll be sure to let you know about it right here. And guys, that's it. That's your games update. What did you think? Should we do it again, or should we bury it like EA did Titanfall? As always, thanks for all the support. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hey, I'm out.